This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
March 4th, 2022, Camas, Utah. A 39-year-old stonemason and father of 3 is found dead in his bedroom by his wife. When the autopsy and toxicology report comes back, his family learns that he died of illicit fentanyl poisoning with 5 times higher the lethal concentration in his bloodstream. But as the investigation into his death stalled and his wife began collecting on life insurance policies, his family hired a private investigator. What he found would help to lead Summit County authorities to a trail of greed, infidelity, and motive. But would his wife's friends come forward and support her narrative of the perfect grieving wife and mother, or would they, one by one, betray her and tell the truth? This is The Poisoned Marriage and Murder of Kouri Richins. Are You With Me? Part 2. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Potterworth. Welcome to Hitched to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, welcome. And for our friends all the way over there in Thailand.
In Thailand.
Yindi Tan Hup. Yindi Tan Hup. Yindi Tan Hup.
I like the whoop at the end.
I have no idea if that's right, but it was kind of fun to do.
Well, wherever you're listening, be sure to subscribe to Hitched to Homicide, then like, rate, and review the podcast so other people who love true crime and possibly Thai food like we do can find us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. If you want true crime with us every single day of the week, 365, please go join our closed Facebook group, The In-Laws and Outlaws. Go to Facebook and type in H2H In-Laws and Outlaws, answer a couple questions, and you are in. There's a link to that in the show notes. You can go to our website. There's a link front and center there as well. Go join.
She said all that in one breath.
I'm not breathing at all. Listen, last week I had a terrible cold. This week it's kind of over. Yeah. My head's clear. I feel 100% better. So hopefully I sound so much better.
You do.
But I post lots of photos and other information in the In-Laws and Outlaws. It's a great group. We love those folks so much.
Yes.
You can find us on Instagram at Hitched to Homicide or on X at H2H_podcast. And we also have a Buy Me a Coffee link if you want to send Rob some coffee because he drinks it every episode. Y'all, we had my dad over today and Rob had to show him his coffee maker.
Yep.
What can I say?
And he liked the coffee.
And he did like the coffee that Rob made for him.
Yeah.
You can find that link in our show notes. This is way more than you ever wanted to know, but I just want to keep emphasizing that Rob is obsessed with his coffee machine.
It's awesome.
You can also send us a text. The link to that is at the top of the show notes where it says, send Chris and Rob a text.
Yes. And I have to give a shout out to my favorite pizza place down in Hilton Head Island, Giuseppe's. I've got their T-shirt on today.
I'm so surprised our daughter Haley didn't take that back to New York City because she used to steal it all the time when she was in high school and lived here.
And then I used to steal it back.
Steal it back. It's because Mom did the laundry, so
Exactly.
it would end up in Rob's pile. So we're back this week for part 2 of this Kouri and Eric Richins case. This is something else, y'all. It really, really is interesting.
Yes.
And I'm going to walk you all the way through to the end of the trial. She has not been sentenced yet.
Okay.
It's coming up in about 6 weeks.
All right.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. CNN, PBS, NBC News, ABC News 2020, CBS News 48 Hours, Court TV, People, USA Today, The Washington Post, The New York Times, KTVX Good Things Utah, KSL in Salt Lake City, KPCW in Park City, the Utah Supreme Court, Facebook, and Reddit, among others. There's a big old long list because everybody's talking about this case.
All right. Well, you ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
When we last left off, Kouri Richins, whose husband Eric is found dead in his bed of a fentanyl overdose, she's written a book for children on grief. And it's been about a year since Eric's death, and she's out promoting it. And after she goes on Good Things Utah, this lifestyle show on a local Salt Lake City television station, the next day they receive an anonymous email that says, quote, "You know she killed her husband," end quote. Now, this private investigator that Eric's family, particularly his sister, has hired, Todd Gabler, he's working really hard, and he obtains the civil side authority through the estate and civil attorneys to access Eric and Kouri's house and business records after the police have released the scene. So it's been about a year since she found him dead.
All right.
And Todd walks through the home with a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh mindset, and he's photographing rooms, and he's looking for anything that feels out of place after an unexplained death. And later he's going to testify that he found something evidentiary in the house that police had not seized, and he immediately called detectives and told them they needed a new search warrant to come back and collect it. It was a digital recorder by the bedside. Now, there's not anything incriminating on this, but he definitely has an eye for detail. That's why I was telling you this. He's picking up on things that the police haven't necessarily looked for.
All right.
Todd pulled Kouri and Eric's phone bills and contacts, again, working through the business and estate side, so he doesn't need a criminal warrant. And he pulls the phone and billing records. He charts their phone calls and the volume of texts from late January through March of 2022. How many and to whom? And a striking pattern jumps out at him. Aside from Kouri's mother and Eric, there's one contact that dominates Kouri's cell phone traffic. It's her drug dealer and house cleaner, Carmen Lauber. We talked about her last week.
Uh-oh.
Now, at this point, Carmen is barely on law enforcement's radar, and Todd flags her as a potential missing piece of this puzzle. And he starts digging into Carmen's background. He runs Carmen's name through law enforcement databases to check for warrants, license status, and safety flags tied to her identity. And he discovers that Carmen has a felony drug distribution history and is on drug court probation. She's in a court-ordered drug program.
This is kind of like not good for her.
Well, it might be the best thing that ever happened to Carmen.
Okay.
So hang on.
All right.
And Todd recognizes that you could pressure a drug court defendant to be a pivotal witness.
Mm-hmm.
And he repeatedly tells the Summit County Sheriff's Office that now's the time to bring Carmen in for a chat. And Todd goes through Eric's phone data, and he actually clones Eric's iPhone to preserve the texts and the call logs and all the app data before anything can be lost or overwritten.
Right.
And he indexes all the content related to Eric's complaints about his wife, Kouri, and finances, the Valentine's Day illness, where she brings him the bagel and then
Right.
he gets violently ill and has to use the EpiPen.
So he kept records of all this.
Well, he's texting his buddies saying,
Oh, okay.
I think Kouri's trying to kill me.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he also goes like through all their business records and life insurance issues. And he organizes this. This is the private investigator. He organizes this into a format that law enforcement can use and digest rather than just handing them the raw evidence. He like lays out a map for these guys.
Gotcha.
He helps them out as much as he can because he doesn't want to create work for the Summit County Sheriff's Department because they've already kind of stopped working on the case. It's been about a year. So he's lining up all this information for them.
All right.
And then Todd starts tracking Kouri. With Eric's family's backing, Todd installs GPS trackers on Kouri's car and on her mother, Lisa Darden's car. And I read that they even put a tracker on her brother's car.
Wow.
He is monitoring their movements. He's looking for patterns or suspicious trips. And these logs help him understand Kouri's frequent trips that are related to real estate and the Midway Mansion. We're going to talk about that one in just a little bit, because if you remember, she closed on this huge 20,000 square foot home that's just like barely drywall, and there's not even bricks on this house.
Yeah,
it's
just kind of a shell.
It's a shell, basically. And it's been sitting there since 2017.
Yeah.
So he's looking at all of her cell phone information. He's looking at her GPS information, where she's going, and how it all overlaps with major events or meetings that are going on in this case. And this private investigator is so smart because during one home visit, he finds materials that clearly look like attorney-client communications. So he seals them unread in an envelope and turns them over without reviewing them to avoid contaminating the criminal case with privileged material. So smart. He's making sure that her attorneys have nothing they can like stand on to throw the case out on a technicality, right?
He's crossing all of his I's and dotting all of his T's.
He really is. But most of all, he shares it all with the Summit County Sheriff's Department and the new lead detective on the case. His name is Jeff O'Driscoll, and he's ready to start from scratch on this case too. And Todd tells Jeff all about the big Kouri Carmen contact and how it relates to Eric's poisoning timeline. And Todd turns over 2 hard drives of interviews, photos, and digital forensics, and all of the cloned iPhone data, and his analysis points squarely at Carmen Lauber as the likely channel used for the fentanyl that killed Eric. He's
Right.
like, here's the chain. Here it is, right here.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's department has been asking Kouri questions, mostly about her trying to take over Eric's trust, trying to take over all of his money, half of the business, that all the things he's put in this living trust, but also some of her other actions after Eric's death. And I don't mean her book writing. She also took her sons to Mexico, and she took them to Spain. And these aren't teenagers. These are little boys, 10, 9, and 6.
Wow.
Now, an overseas trip is like 5-6 hours, probably,
Yeah.
if you're leaving from New York out of the States.
Yeah.
How do you manage a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old? Maybe Dramamine, I don't know.
Good Lord.
But Kouri actually sends an email to the Summit County Sheriff's Department. She really tries to like get ahead. It's killing her that she's not controlling the narrative the way she wants it. So she tries to like get ahead. She thinks she's smarter than everybody else,
Sure.
right?
They always do.
So she sends this email to the Summit County Sheriff's Department saying that her 2 boys qualified to play soccer in Spain. That's why they went. And they took a yearly trip to Mexico every year, and so they went back to Mexico. And she also addresses that she never moved out of the house. This is something that they have said to her. Did you move out of the house because you guys were having marital problems? And I believe one of Eric's sisters had said something about this to the authorities because Eric and Kouri were fighting all the time. It wasn't unicorns and rainbows in their home like Kouri likes to paint it out as. And so she's saying, no, I never moved out. And she tries to put everything on him. He's the one who was having an affair. That's the only thing we fought about, right? She is also in deep financial straits with this Midway mansion. She closed on this unfinished house the day after Eric's murder, but she can't finish it either, especially after she's not getting money that she thought she was going to get.
Right.
So again, the police are pretty convinced with the help of Todd Gabler that Carmen is Kouri's fentanyl hookup and that there's motive because Kouri is flat broke, right?
Right.
So they call up Carmen and ask her to come in for a chat. Now, again, she's in a court-ordered drug program, and Eric's toxicology report showed that he died of a fentanyl overdose 5 times the amount it would take to kill someone who isn't a fentanyl user, okay?
And just to say that it takes very little fentanyl to kill somebody.
It does. It takes very little. Well, depending on what the fentanyl's cut with, depending on how strong it is. Because, again, it's illicit. It's off the street. So who knows what's in it, right?
Right.
Now, Detective O'Driscoll can do things that the private investigator, Todd, cannot. And Todd's so smart about this, and these two work really well together. And Jeff is armed with all this information about Carmen, and he searches her trash. This is how he goes about it first. He's like, we're going to call her in for a chat, but first, we're going to go through her trash. Yeah. And that is perfectly legal. We have talked about this in more than one case where the cops are waiting for a suspect to throw something away.
Get a little DNA.
So they can test the DNA. Well, they don't need DNA from Carmen, but what Detective O'Driscoll does find in her trash is drug paraphernalia. And that gives them enough for probable cause in order to get a search warrant for Carmen's home. Wow. And when they conduct this, they find drugs, enough to charge her with possession. But that's not all they find, because Carmen has a firearm in her house, and they find that. She's a convicted felon. She's not allowed to have a gun.
That's a no-no.
So they've got lots of things to talk to her about. But something else the authorities find when they search Carmen's home, she has this wall with like inspirational quotes on it, like she has a vision board sort of thing.
Right.
And this is where they see a copy of Eric's obit. His obituary is taped to this sort of vision board on a mirror. So it's like, go out and be all you can be today. And then there's Eric's obituary, right?
Wow.
They bring Carmen in. She's arrested, and police start talking to her. They're questioning her because they don't really care about Carmen. They want Kouri.
Right.
So they tell her, look at Carmen, you're facing prison time, 25 to life, unless you'd like to strike a deal with us. You tell us everything so we can put Kouri away for murder, and we won't send you to prison for a very long time. And they actually told her that they wanted, quote, the details that will ensure Kouri gets convicted of murder, end quote.
Wow.
Otherwise, Carmen, we're going to send you up the river for a minimum of 25 years.
Gee, let me think about this.
Right. Do you know where the phrase came from, send him up the river?
Mm-mm.
I think we've talked about this before when we were covering like an old case.
Oh, yeah, the prison and the waste.
No, New York City. It comes from New York City, 1890s, when in New York City criminals were being sent to Sing Sing. Yeah. It's 30 miles up the Hudson River. Oh. So they would say, we're going to send him up the river. Oh. But by the early 1900s, it meant anybody who was going to prison was being sent up the river.
I had no idea.
And now you know.
And now I know.
So police get Carmen alone. They tell her exactly what they want, enough to convict Kouri of murder, and they want her honest testimony. And they don't just give Carmen a plea bargain. They give her an immunity deal.
Ooh.
and she sings like a canary.
Do you think?
She is
Wow.
singing with vibrato.
Wow.
She tells authorities that Kouri asked her to get fentanyl on 2 different occasions. They know it's more than that because they can see, their text exchange. They don't talk about fentanyl in the text exchange,
Right.
but they can see how many times they're talking back and forth.
Right.
And she even tells police that the first time she gets drugs for Kouri, that Kouri complained that it wasn't strong enough. And this is why we know that Kouri asked for some, quote, Michael Jackson shit, end quote.
Man.
She tells police that Robert Crozier is her dealer. And Robert, they're like, well, let's talk to Robert. Well, Robert's already in custody for dealing drugs and is in the middle of detoxing.
Wow.
But Carmen's confession is enough because the dates that she says Kouri had her procure the fentanyl line up exactly with all the dates that Eric is sick and the final days right before he's murdered. It's enough for the police to get an arrest warrant for Kouri, and they do.
I wish I had the dun-dun.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Yeah. On May 18th, Kouri Richins is arrested for 1 count of aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of narcotics with intention to distribute. Now, last week we talked about how Kouri went on Good Things Utah to promote her children's grief book, and the day after how they got this anonymous email, right? You know, she killed her husband.
Right.
Well, this time an anonymous Amazon package shows up at the Summit County Sheriff's Office the day after Kouri is arrested. And the Amazon package contained Kouri's book on grief and an anonymous note that said, quote, "There are 2 sides to every story. This is the true Kouri, a devoted wife and adoring mother. Thought you should know." From Anonymous.
Yeah, I wonder who sent that.
Well, it's Amazon, and it doesn't take a whole lot of brainiac work to know that they can trace it back to Kouri's mother, Lisa.
Okay. I knew it had to be one of hers.
Yeah, because Amazon's going to tell the police who sent the packet. Really? No one ever steps forward to say nobody ever steps forward to say they sent the email at the television station. But we do know that this anonymous book and note came from her mom. Yeah.
That's funny.
So now Kouri, she's been trying to get her hands on Eric's money for a year, and now she really needs his money in order to mount a defense. And on June 9th, 2023, Kouri files a civil lawsuit against Eric's estate, alleging that she deserves several monetary and/or physical assets according to their prenuptial agreement. By the way, she's not going to get any. Now, the state of Utah does have the death penalty. But on August 18th, 2023, the state of Utah said they will not be seeking the death penalty. And they made this decision after talking with Eric's family.
Really?
Yeah. And they said, don't. Yeah. don't go for the death penalty.
If you think about it, though, I mean,
they've already lost their dad.
right. And the fact, too, that if someone is put to death, they kind of get off easy.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, if she has to spend the rest of her life sitting in an 8x8.
True. And we know how vain and, yeah, just wait. I'm going to tell you a few things in a little bit. You're going to be like, what?
All right. Yeah.
But since they're not seeking the death penalty, this means Kouri's charge of aggravated murder is now a non-capital first-degree felony and is punishable by 25 years to life in prison if she is found guilty. Now, she's going to be held without bail, and believe me, she is going to try really, really hard for the judge to grant her bail. She tries on June 12th, a month after she's arrested, and the judge ordered that she remain in custody for pre-trial, awaiting substantial evidence supporting aggravated murder, and no conditions could adequately protect the community from Kouri. And then for the next 2 years, her attorneys are going to file several motions to reconsider to set bail, saying that circumstances had changed, including a partial recantation by the dealer, Robert Crozier, but the court denied it all 3 times.
Okay.
So Kouri's just sitting in the Summit County Jail, and she's going to be there for almost 3 years before her case goes to trial.
Wow.
And the first time Kouri has a bail hearing, she's confident that it's going to go her way. But the prosecution called witnesses just to keep her in jail. And what they had was this check that she had written for the fentanyl. And a cell phone expert showed the judge that Eric's murder was premeditated and consciousness of guilt, meaning she knows she's guilty.
Right.
So they're like, no, you're just staying in there. So she's there for 3 years.
Hunker down, babe.
Yeah.
You're staying a while.
Yeah. And by this time, she has lost custody of her children because Utah has a law that allows the state to take the children if one spouse causes the death of the other.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, while she's in jail, her cell is tossed. Happens all the time. They
Sure.
go in. And on September 18th, 2023, there's a random cell check where guards check for contraband at the Summit County Jail. And when they toss Kouri's cell, they find a handwritten letter. And this letter is going to become the Walk the Dog letter. That's what it's known as, the Walk the Dog letter.
What does that mean?
It's 6 pages long, and at the top it says, walk the dog, exclamation point, exclamation point. I will post the entire Walk the Dog letter in the In-Laws and Outlaws. You can read it for yourself.
Is she writing more books?
She's, that's called foreshadowing. Good job, honey. There you go.
Thank you.
It's a letter written to Kouri's mother, Lisa Darden, and it says, walk the dog, but take vague notes so you remember. The letter keeps referencing her brother Ronnie and her attorney, whose name is Sky Lazaro. Quote, she, meaning Sky Lazaro, her attorney, wants to link Eric getting drugs from Mexico, so we need some kind of connection. Her private investigator is doing some research on the ranch/cartel place Eric would stay at. Here is what I'm thinking, but you have to talk to Ronnie. He would probably have to testify to this, but it's super short, not a lot to it. He will need to tell Sky all of this at the next meeting. Upon information and belief, just like they say, a year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie was over watching football one Sunday, and Eric and Ronnie were chatting about Eric's Mexico trips. Eric told Ronnie he gets pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico, from the workers at the ranch. Not to tell me, because I would get mad, because I always say he gets high every night and won't help take care of the kids. I have pictures in my phone of Eric passed out on the floor or in the chair. Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well. Eric told Ronnie he keeps them in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck, so I wouldn't find them. Ronnie never told me about the conversation. Eric finally told me and asked if Carmen could get him some. Eric never wanted anyone to know he had an issue, especially get caught. He always wanted Kouri to go down for him, end quote. So she's trying to She's trying to narrate what's going to
Right.
happen. She's dictating what's going on, right?
Well, it's a little convenient too that she hid this letter, knowing that they toss jail cells.
She might not know that they're going to toss a jail cell.
I mean, it sounds like a setup letter to me.
It is.
Yeah.
Hang on. She
Okay,
goes
okay.
on to say that Ronnie needs to say that Eric would put his drugs in her bags
Yeah.
right before they boarded to fly home from Mexico. That way, if anyone was caught, it was her and not Eric. And that he would laugh about it because Eric couldn't ruin his image that he had drug issues. And Ronnie, her brother, is supposed to say that Kouri has never done any type of pills and she would only do weed gummies when Eric begged her to. But, quote, the connection has to be made with Mexico and drugs. When you talk to Ronnie about this, meet up with him in person. I worry sometimes your house and phone are bugged. Maybe drive to Salt Lake and meet him. Tell him I need him to do this, end quote.
Wow.
She also says that Eric's sisters have always been jealous of her because, quote, anything they could do, Kouri could do better. Being a mom, college, stay-at-home wife until she built $1 million company, a nice house, car, everything she had, they wanted, end quote. She also tells her mother to tell a man that she calls Lotto not to text her about being seen together at church, skiing, or on trips because, quote, it doesn't look good, end quote. So while she's trying to control this narrative, this is witness tampering.
Yeah.
She's trying to tell her brother what to say. She's influencing his testimony. But the next day, September 19th, Kouri's attorney, Sky Lazaro, says, that was fictional writing. That wasn't a letter to her mom. It was fiction for a mystery book she was drafting in jail. So she hires a ghostwriter for a children's book, but she's writing a book on her own, a mystery novel. And those are notes about someone who is in a Mexican prison.
Okay.
And if you believe that, I got some.
Got some land in Florida. I'll
There
tell
you go. I think she thinks that everybody's just stupid.
Yeah.
The prosecution asked for the whole manuscript of this book that she's writing. If this is just notes, where's the whole book? Well, there isn't one, and she doesn't have one to hand over.
Right.
On October 11th, 2023, Kouri's attorneys file a motion to dismiss her case based on the Walk the Dog letter going public, claiming that it violates a gag order set up by the court in May. It asks that the trial be moved to Salt Lake City instead, Salt Lake County. So how did it become public? Well, the Summit County Attorney's Office attached the letter in motions arguing Kouri was trying to orchestrate false testimony and asking the judge to sanction her. And those filings, for the Walk the Dog letter, it's part of public
Sure.
court record.
Yeah.
And the press, who, by the way, is eating up this mom and grief author killing her husband,
Mm-hmm.
KUTV, KSL, and KPCW all report on the Walk the Dog letter.
Wow.
On October 12th, 2023, prosecutors say they want the entirety of Kouri's Walk the Dog document, which Kouri and her attorney insist is still part of this fictional novel again.
Right.
They petitioned the court asking the defense to hand over everything, and they disagree over whether or not the prosecution has a right to see said document. There is no document. Prosecution knows that.
Right.
Prosecutors say that fictional works are not protected under an attorney-client privilege.
Oh, nicely done.
But they don't get anything because there is nothing.
Right.
November 3rd, 2023, Kouri appears in court regarding a motion to dismiss her trial, which was denied. Kouri's defense claimed that the state had perpetrated a false narrative through the release of Walk the Dog, asserting that she would not receive a fair trial based on the public's belief that she was involved in witness tampering. Because she is.
If it walks like a dog and it barks like a dog,
Yeah.
it's probably Kouri.
Yeah, exactly. Then in February of 2024, the court ruled that parts of the Walk the Dog jail letter was not protected by attorney-client privilege and could be used in the case by the prosecution,
What parts?
which is a huge blow. All the parts where she's orchestrating tell Ronnie to say this.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
On March 26, 2024, prosecutors filed additional charges against Kouri, including attempted aggravated murder and fraud. The attempted murder charge is in connection to the incident on Valentine's Day, the month before Eric's death. And prosecutors say Eric had told witnesses that he believed Kouri was trying to poison him.
Right.
Then, in a surprise twist of fate, Sky, her attorney, Kouri's attorney, Sky, she withdraws from the case.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
May 20th, 2024. The whole defense team withdrew from the case, citing, quote, a professional duty to withdraw, end quote, due to an, quote, irreconcilable and non-waivable situation, end quote. The motion stated that the defense's withdrawal was necessary to, quote, properly safeguard the defendant's constitutional rights, end quote. And now Kouri has two new attorneys, Kathy Nestor and Wendy Lewis, public defenders. Now, Sky says that she left because of a conflict of interest. I think the conflict was that Kouri couldn't pay her.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. I could be way wrong, but I don't know how you go from a really high-priced, beautiful attorney, which she is, by the way, to two court-appointed attorneys.
Well, and if you're any kind of business person, if you're not getting paid and you know you're in a losing situation, yeah, you pretty much want to tap out.
Yeah, you get out.
Yeah.
4 days later, Kouri releases her first public statement. Richins claimed the world has yet to hear who she is, what she did, or what she didn't do. She answered all three by saying she is the wife of Eric Richins and the mom of 3 boys. She said what she did was to protect Eric, quote, at all costs, end quote. She continued to insist that she did not murder Eric and would not do that to anyone. Quote, I'm asking the world to give me a chance. Give me a chance to prove it to you. I will show you the facts. I will show you the evidence. I will not give up. I will not give in. Please, just give me a chance. End quote.
Okay.
Again, trying to...
Yeah,
she's trying to get ahead of it, I suppose.
Yep.
Prosecution drops the narcotics charges, but she now pleads not guilty to the now discovered life insurance fraud because she took out these policies without Eric's knowledge. We talked about that in the first episode.
Right.
And by the end of November of 2024, new evidence is found that Kouri requested fentanyl from more than one person prior to the death of Eric, not just Carmen.
Jeez.
An unsealed search warrant said that she asked a handyman working on her properties for fentanyl weeks before her husband's death. And at first I thought maybe this was her lover, Josh Grossman.
Right.
But it was a guy named William Hayden Jeffs.
Wow.
And she asked him for fentanyl. And he comes forward and he tells police.
Wow.
In 2025, there are motions to suppress statements, electronic data, and the walk the dog letter, motions to move the trial again from Summit County to Salt Lake City. They don't think they can find an impartial jury, but it is denied. And 3 years later, Kouri's trial begins in Summit County. This tiny little courthouse is packed. Judge Richard, I'm going to screw this up. It's Mrazik. Mrazik.
Close enough.
Is presiding.
Okay.
I'm going to call him Judge Richard.
There you go.
Sorry, Judge. Your Honor. I apologize, Your Honor.
Judge Ricky.
It's January 2nd. They have a pre-trial conference, evidentiary hearings, motions saying that the state detectives harassed and threatened 2 witnesses for the defense. Kouri's attorneys file another motion asking for the trial to be moved, but the potential jury members have answered questionnaires. And if you've ever served on a jury, they ask you all kinds of questions. They want to know what you know, what you've heard, all those kinds of things.
Right.
So they answer all these questions on February 2nd, and the judge denies the change of venue. He's like, we got enough people who don't give a flying flip who Kouri is or don't know anything about it, right?
Right.
On February 11th, 2026, 12 jurors were picked, 8 primary and 4 alternates. 8 days later, on February 19th, 2026, the week before Kouri's trial, her attorneys released a statement, quote, Kouri has waited nearly 3 years for this moment, the opportunity to have the facts of this case heard by a jury, free from the prosecution's narrative that has dominated headlines since her arrest. Now the state must prove the allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. What the public has been told bears little resemblance to the truth. We welcome the courtroom where evidence is bound by rules, not sensational coverage. Kouri is a mother who wants to go home to her children. We are confident this jury will make that possible. End quote.
How'd that work out for him?
Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you about this guy. His name is Brad Bloodworth. He's the chief prosecutor in Summit County, and he served as the lead trial prosecutor. And this guy, he's a graduate of West Point. Oh. He served as an airborne ranger, qualified infantry officer, and as an officer in the U.S. Army JAG Corps, where he worked both as a prosecutor and a defense attorney for soldiers under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, I was about ready to say.
Do you want the truth? I think I'm entitled.
You made Tom Cruise look like a wimp in this.
You can't handle the truth. But Brad Bloodworth, he's really that guy. He's really that guy. Brad tells the jury that Kouri had reasons to kill her husband, Eric. She owed $4.5 million to 20 different lenders. And by the way, the Midway mansion that she financed with high-risk loans, the one she closed on the day after Eric's death, she quickly fell behind on payments. He's dead in March of 2022, and by fall of 2022, just 6 months later, she defaulted and the lenders foreclosed. Wow. She owed $3.8 million by the time of foreclosure.
Good night.
So Brad Bloodworth tells the jury this.
That's a great name, though.
I know, right? Bloodworth, Officer Bloodworth.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a great name for a book.
Yeah.
Brad, you might end up in a book.
Yeah.
But
this episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
He tells the jury that she was unhappy in her marriage and she murdered him in order to get a fresh start at life. That's his opening statement. She's deep, deep, deep in debt and she wants a new life. And we're going to prove it. And that's why she got rid of him.
Okay.
Kouri's defense opens with her tearful 911 call. And I told you about this in part 1, but it's just kind of, I mean, she's sort of whiny through it. She's not hysterical about finding her dead husband.
Right.
And while they're playing this 911 call in court, Kouri is dead-faced, deadpan, nothing. She isn't emotional at all listening to this. But Kouri's attorneys want the jury to focus on 6 hours, just 6 hours, not all the years before and all the problems that they had. It was all about how fentanyl got inside Eric Richins, how it made it inside of Eric Richins.
Okay.
Now, the state must convince the jury that Kouri bought the drugs with the intention to kill Eric. And they know this whole case rests on Carmen's shoulders. It's her get out of jail free card, and they need her to perform.
Yeah, immunity's a pretty good card.
It really is.
Yeah.
But the prosecution set out 3 lies of Kouri's to the jury that would prove her guilt. Lie number 1, she denied the Valentine's Day poisoning scare, and multiple witnesses, including Eric's sister and his friend, Kouri Wright, testified that after the 2022 Valentine's dinner, when Eric got violently ill, he said to them that he believed Kouri had tried to poison him, and he stayed at a friend's house because he was afraid. Prosecutors argued that Kouri later denied to investigators that Eric ever accused her of poisoning him or expressed fear of her, framing that denial as a lie that undercut her credibility on everything else. Lie number 2, the secret $250,000 home equity loan. Kouri took out a $250,000 HELOC on the family's home using a power of attorney she said Eric had signed, which she forged, pledging the house Eric and the kids lived in, even though he was the sole owner of this home on the title. Remember, we talked about this.
Yeah.
She told others, including one of Eric's friends, that Eric knew about it and approved the loan, and that she would turn it into $11 million in real estate value. But testimony from Eric's family and the forensic accountant showed he considered it a serious betrayal and that the loan had not produced anything that close in return. And that's why he put everything into a living trust to keep it away from her.
Yep.
Lie number 3, the myth of a thriving real estate empire. In texts, social media, and conversations, Kouri portrays herself as a successful investor, building a large property portfolio, and suggested to others that they were, quote, doing really well financially, end quote. And the forensic accountant testified that in reality, from 2021 up to Eric's death, Kouri was in acute financial distress, hundreds of overdrafts, more than $300,000 in failed transactions, and a business that was, quote, imploding, end quote, without a cash infusion, making her rosy success narrative another key lie that, in the state's telling, pointed straight to motive. Now, when the police searched the home of Eric and Kouri on May 8th after Eric's death, they find this orange notebook right by Kouri's side of the bed. In the first 5 pages, it's a journal-style narrative of the night that Eric dies, March 3rd, into the next morning, the 4th of 2022. Okay. It's her timeline and her movements inside the body and what Eric ate and drank.
Okay.
Right. So it's like she again, controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
This is what Eric ate that night. This is what Eric did this night. This is what I did.
Okay.
And of course, I think she did it and she wrote it in her journal. So they would find it and be like, well, yes, I'm journaling. The story is real. Right. This is real. This is my private writings. Of course, I'm writing the truth. Whatever.
Yeah. In
the entry from the March 3rd to March 4th, Kouri describes making and sharing drinks with Eric. And she writes this in this orange notebook that she gave him a Moscow Mule and then a lemon drop shot. And then she was going to take care of one of their children. When she returned to the bedroom, she found that Eric was, quote, stiff, pale, and cold in bed, end quote. Now, Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth brings this up to the jury, arguing that the notebook is a firsthand timeline that lines up with the digital and toxicology evidence and, quote, tends to make it more probable that Kouri poisoned Eric with fentanyl. So it backfires on her. She thinks it's going to be like this. These are my private thoughts. This is what happened. Yep. And he turns around and says, she didn't just give him 1 drink. She gave him 2.
Yeah.
And remember, in the past, he would say that something tasted bad or it made him feel bad. So she either put a little bit of fentanyl into the Moscow Mule, but not enough for him to balk at the taste, or it was, and I think, and I believe Eric's sisters have said the same thing, it was that lemon drop shot, because it's a shot, it goes all down at once.
Right.
Yeah, 5 times the amount of fentanyl needed.
Man.
Yeah, that's what's in this shot, more than likely.
Yeah.
Kouri's not messing around anymore at that point.
No. At that point, if she truly did that, he probably died instantly.
It didn't take long.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 a.m. and he's stiff.
Yeah.
EMS says that rigor mortis had started to set in. Man. He'd been dead for a while. So she says that she gave him this lemon drop shot, and lead investigator Jeff O'Driscoll gets on the stand and talks about this notebook and Kouri's account for the evening, finding Eric cold, calling 911, rocking in the corner while they performed CPR, and then running into the bathroom to throw up. And Brad Bloodworth tells the court that this scene is carefully curated by Kouri, and everything she's saying wasn't spontaneous grief. Now, they get Carmen on the stand. It's time to bring Carmen in. They bring her in. They put her on the stand. She's crying and saying that, she's only doing this because she's trying to right a wrong, the wrong for her part in Eric Richins' death. And I don't think that she thought, maybe she did, but I don't know that she thought that Kouri was going to kill him. I don't know. Maybe she did.
Didn't Kouri tell her that she wanted the fentanyl for a client that it was having back
No, those were the first pills that she wanted. She wanted pain pills the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. Then she wanted propofol.
Gotcha.
She wanted the Michael Jackson stuff, and that's what that is.
Okay.
Then she just wanted straight up fentanyl. Yeah.
The first two didn't work, so let's just go to the hard stuff.
Right.
Wow.
So Carmen gets up on the stand, and she says that Kouri asked her more than once to get her fentanyl, and that the first batch wasn't strong enough, and that she wanted some Michael Jackson stuff. I'm not quoting her directly.
Right.
But the defense is going to poke holes in this, or at least try to, saying that she got a sweetheart deal to rat on Kouri. And they're going to say she's a drug addict and an unreliable witness, okay? But when the toxicologist takes the stand for the prosecution, they explain that no other drugs, not even alcohol, was in his system at an impaired level. Nothing. He had nothing in his system of alcohol that would be considered impaired.
Sure.
Nothing else detected but the fentanyl.
Right.
And Kouri said he took a THC gummy, remember?
Yeah.
That wasn't the case, because I think she wanted people to think that THC gummy was laced with fentanyl. Now, the defense pushed the idea that the mechanism of Eric's ingestion of the fentanyl is, quote, forensically unknown. I've got my air quotes up. So they're saying, sure, he's got fentanyl in his system, but we don't know where it came from. But then Kouri's friends get on the stand, people who were close to both her and Eric, including Cody Wright, Eric's business partner and close friend, who said that Kouri and Eric had horrible marital problems and that Eric felt like Kouri had tried to poison him more than once. Then others got on the stand with the same story. Kouri and Eric had marital problems and that Kouri would spend money and take money from Eric's accounts, and he would find out later and then be very upset. And this led him to change his will and protect his assets from Kouri so that everything was left in a trust that his sister controlled for his children. And remember, the waitress who saved the $45,000 to buy her first home, only to have it foreclosed on because Kouri never filed the deed? Right. Yeah. She gets on the stand, too.
She's finally getting her chance.
Yeah, just so the prosecution can show what kind of person Kouri really is. This is who we're dealing with, okay?
Right.
Another family member admitted at trial that there was a jail text or call where the family member said that Kouri believed she would be, quote, set for life if he died, end quote. And a friend of both Kouri and Eric who worked at C&E Masonry said that one night during Christmas time, Kouri told her that she felt trapped in her marriage and it would be so much easier if Eric were dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Jeff O'Driscoll's on the stand. Todd Gabler took the stand, describing his interviews, the phone records analysis. He did a lot of the heavy lifting in this case. Okay. And don't forget all the Google searches made by Kouri. Yeah. Like, what is a lethal dose of fentanyl? Life insurance payouts? What happens to deleted messages? Remotely wiping iPhones? And, this is the one that's going to get you, luxury prisons for the rich in America.
Well, she was just covering all of her bases.
That's for white-collar crime, by the way, Kouri. Oh, yeah, this isn't Watergate. And if you're really young and don't know what that is, it's not Martha Stewart either, right?
Exactly. Once again, if you're not that yet. No, never mind.
Yes. And then, surprise, Josh Grossman, Kouri's secret lover, shows up, much to Kouri's chagrin. And you can see him walk in. This this poor guy, God love this man.
Yeah.
But the look on her face is like, oh no.
Undercover.
When he's asked to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, they're swearing him in.
Mm-hmm.
They finish, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Right.
He says, what is the whole truth? He asks, what is the whole truth? So the judge tells him to come sit down in the witness chair, and the judge has to explain to him what's true and what's a lie. Do you know the difference between what's true and a lie? And he says to the judge, okay, I will be honest in my answers. This guy is so rattled on this witness stand.
Wow.
He's teary-eyed. They're showing all those lovey-dovey text messages that they sent to each other. It's like in huge print up on the wall. And he admits that he loved Kouri and that she loved him. At least he thought that she loved him.
Right.
And he thinks she's going to sign divorce papers. And in a 2020 interview, one of the jurors was interviewed, and she said that the jury's hearts were breaking for Josh because he was so genuine and heartbroken. There's one point where he can't even speak, and the judge says, "Do you need to take a break?" And he says, "I don't know what I need."
Oh, wow.
He tells the court in the weeks after Eric's death that they take a drive, and she asks him if he had ever killed anyone.
Whoa.
Now, remember, he's a war veteran. He was in Iraq. He did tours in Iraq.
Right.
And she asked him how it made him feel. And Josh is thinking, your husband's dead. This is odd.
Yeah.
And after this, their relationship is over. He starts putting two and two together. And remember, Josh actually goes to Eric's family and confesses to the affair.
Sure.
He feels horrible. And you can only imagine, because he's a real stand-up guy and he's feeling guilty that he had any part in Eric's death, because she was telling Josh she was going to get a divorce. Right?
Yep.
The prosecution even has testimony from a dead man, William Hayden Jeffs, the handyman that Kouri asked before Carmen for the drugs.
Yeah.
He died in 2024 before they could even get to trial in 2026. But he told detectives that Kouri asked him for fentanyl and propofol in his interview. And then it's time for the defense to present their case and for them to call their witnesses, right?
Right.
And they don't know what to do or who to call. And after some what I would call is some very awkward silence in the courtroom, and we're not talking seconds, we're talking minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So after all this awkward silence, they say, quote, "Your Honor, at this time, the defense intends to rest," end quote. What? No one? No rebuttal? No rebuttal experts? Kouri's not going to take the stand to show what a great mother and wife she was?
Wow.
They call no one to the stand. And everybody is shocked. Even the judge, who asks Kouri if she is waiving her right. And she says yes. Now, one of two things is happening here. They either believe that the prosecution didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Kouri was the killer, or they knew they were already cooked and they were just going to wait it out and appeal everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It didn't seem like a good strategy.
It doesn't seem like a good strategy,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
And I've seen interviews with her first attorney, Skye. I don't think Skye would have had a bunch of people, I think, to interview. I don't know,
Yeah.
to put on the witness stand, I mean.
Yeah.
So the same day that they say this and she waives her right, the same day the trial ends, the jury reaches a verdict. It takes them 3 hours. That's it. Kouri Richins is found guilty of aggravated murder, found guilty on all counts. And Kouri will be sentenced on May 13th in about 6 weeks.
Wow.
Her sentencing day is Eric's 44th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Karma
Yeah.
is a bitch. She could face up to life in prison.
Happy birthday.
But her troubles aren't even over after the murder trial. She still has mortgage fraud, money laundering, and issuing bad checks to.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Answer for.
Yeah.
When she's sentenced, we will chat about this case again. But justice is served for Eric and his family. That's the way they feel about it. They seem happy about it.
Right.
And the 3 boys are being raised by Eric's sister and her husband. They have adopted them. So after she is sentenced, we'll come back and talk about this briefly before we do another case.
Okay.
But that's the story of Eric Richins and his killer wife, Kouri. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, my take on all of this is, it's funny because it's always people that think that they planned everything out so perfectly and that this is going to work and blah, 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 blah. And they're just stupid.
Yeah.
But once again, there's a common thread to all murders that they're just all stupid.
A lot of them are. I mean, there's some people that are pretty smart about everything, but even those, like Zodiac killer, people like that, they have to send out letters. It's like, you can't find me. So I got to do something so you talk about me. I got to feel like you're at least, on my trail or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the mindset. I don't know. She's just greedy.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
all she is. She's greedy and she wanted
evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was all about the money.
Well, I can't wait to hear what the sentencing is going to
I
be.
can't either. You think it's going to be 25 years or you think the judge is going to give her life?
Life.
Well, they're going to appeal it no matter what.
Yeah.
They're going to appeal it no matter what. There was one motion that got left out or whatever I read in some of the sources, and they're like, this is probably going to be one of the things that they'll come back with. And I'm sure the walk the dog letter will have something to do with it as well. But I don't know how they stand on that leg because it's clearly her witness tampering.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows?
All right. Well, let's leave that stupidity and go to some other stupidity with a little bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart.
All right, number 1, I'm calling the wheels on the bus go
Round and round.
straight to jail. A 20-year-old guy near Philadelphia was drunk Friday morning after partying all night and tried to get a free ride home by hopping on a school bus.
Oh, no.
The man thought the bus would take him closer to home, but once the school bus arrived at the school, the man got off with the students and entered the school. A student on the bus that realized the man didn't belong at school reported him to school resource officers. Staff tracked him down, and he ran out of the school. He was eventually caught, and the police arrested him for criminal trespassing.
So this has to be a high school. Otherwise, he's walking in with first graders. They'd have to be like, he doesn't belong here. One of these things is not like the other, right?
Yep.
Too funny.
All right, number 2, wrong shirt, wrong time.
Okay.
According to this report, a 41-year-old James Ricks Jr. was being pulled over by a Marion County sheriff for going almost 90 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone.
Okay.
The deputy turned on his emergency lights and tried to pull the Ricks over. Ricks fled the deputy and attempted to evade him by turning off the lights on his truck. That trick didn't work, and the deputy caught up to him. Once out of the vehicle, Ricks failed some field sobriety tests, surprise, surprise,
Yeah.
and was arrested with DUI. On the arrest video, you can see that he is wearing a T-shirt that says, "I'm the reason the beer's always gone."
And the cop's like, I bet you are, buddy.
Exactly.
I bet you are.
All right, number 3, and
Finally.
and another T-shirt failed.
Okay, it's a twofer.
And this is short. A guy in Oklahoma was busted trying to steal an ATV on Tuesday, and he was wearing a T-shirt that said, quote, "Ain't nothing illegal till you get caught." So there's your bless your hearts.
Going on the ATV.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh, these people, bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. Especially the guy that got on the school bus. I think that is too funny. It makes me think of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where the principal gets on the school bus.
Yeah. Hey, dude, just get a Giuseppe's Pizza T-shirt and call it a day.
Well, if you have a bless your heart, or you know somebody's heart who needs blessing, all you got to do is go to hitchtohomicide.com. When you get there, there's a pull-down menu. And while you're there, you can also suggest a case or tell us about your brush with true crime. I go through all that so quickly.
In one breath.
One breath. That's my amazing husband out there.
That's my beautiful bride in the booth.
Join us next time on Hitch to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.